Good day everyone and welcome to today's tutorial. In today's tutorial we'll be learning how to make this beautiful and soft looking bread. So if you're interested, please stay tuned. For this recipe I'll be using 1.5 cup of warm milk followed by a quarter cup of sugar, then 2 teaspoons of yeast. I've gone ahead to proof the yeast to make sure that it is active. I will tell you how to proof yeast or test the activeness of your yeast later in this video. So I also added 1 egg, half teaspoon of cinnamon powder, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, and half cup of melted butter. So I'll just go ahead to combine that together before adding our flour. So I forgot to add salt with the other ingredients I added earlier, so I just added 1 teaspoon of salt. Then next I start to add our flour gradually. I'm using 4.5 cups of flour. I'm done mixing that together, so the next thing is to add flour to our working table to prevent it from sticking. Also make sure to add flour to your hands because we are working with a very soft dough. But if you know you will not be able to deal with this dough, then I'll advise you to use 1 cup of warm milk instead of the 1.5 cup that I used. So this is a no knead bread. We're not going to knead it at all. We'll just try to mold the dough, bring the dough together before we start cutting and shaping. So I said I was going to tell you how to test the activeness of your yeast before using. So all you need to do is just to get warm water, add little quantity of sugar, maybe a half teaspoon of sugar to it, then add the quantity of yeast you are going to be using to the water and sugar. Then you just combine that together and cover. You leave that for 10 to 15 minutes. So after 10 to 15 minutes and it starts to foam, then you know your yeast is active. If not, if it doesn't foam after that 10 to 15 minutes, just know that the yeast is no longer active. So it's better to always do this when you're working with a recipe that calls for yeast, and even for baking powder also. But that of baking powder, you use hot water minus sugar. So I've gone ahead to mold the dough and I'm cutting them into different parts now. So I cut them into about 12 parts. Then after that I start to mold them one after the other. You just mold them like I'm doing and make sure to seal it properly. You seal the under part properly and use your hand to mold into a round shape. So you do the same for the rest of the dough before leaving it to rise. So here it is, I'm done molding and I just place them on my baking tray, of course with a baking paper lined on. So you grease your baking tray before putting the baking paper. So just leave this now to rise until it doubles in size. You cover with a towel and leave it to rise. After 20 minutes of leaving it to rise, this is it. It's now time for us to egg wash. So egg washing helps to give it that brown and shiny looks after baking. And we are going to egg wash using the egg yolk and 1 tablespoon of milk. So we just go ahead to mix that properly together before using it. And while we are egg washing, should be very careful so that you will not get the egg wash to the bottom or to the tray, to the bottom of the dough, because when it gets to the bottom of the dough it will serve as a glue. Then removing it from the tray will become difficult even with the baking paper on the tray. If you're still watching, then it is time for you to like this video. Please like this video and support my channel by subscribing. Thank you. So I'm done egg washing. It's now time for us to bake. So after 20 to 25 minutes of baking, you bring it out of the oven and do another round of egg washing before the final baking. After a total baking time of 15 minutes, this is the outcome of our bread. Looking so soft and yummy. You can see how brown and shiny it is on the top. It is because of the egg washing that we did. So to give it that extra shiny look, I went ahead to glaze with butter. You can use butter or vegetable oil to do this. This makes it looks better. So you can see how soft it is to touch. So if you're still watching, please give this video a like, share and comment. Please comment, say something. What do you think about this tutorial? Ask your question if you are confused and I'll respond to them. And also don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thank you and see you in the next tutorial. Bye.